Greetings, this is Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I have drifted into the underworld. The Star Wars Underworld. I have a bad feeling about this.
Here we go. We must go to the lower levels. The underworld.
You've taken your first step into a larger world.
You're after something.
Ben.
Since I've started the underworld, I've met so many great friends.
Chris.
I grew up in the 1990s, and mall packaging is nostalgic for me.
Dominic.
What I love most about Star Wars is that it's fun and it's all-round good times.
So, this is where the fun begins.
May the Force be with us.
This thing really moves!
I like this!
I can't believe you came all this way to see me.
Why am I not in the intro? I gotta come up with a snappy line.
Well, hello again, everybody, and welcome back at long last to the Star Wars Underworld Podcast, your weekly source for all the latest breaking Star Wars news, reviews, and discussion. That's right, we've been off for 2 weeks, and contrary to the rumors that were out there, it's not because we're being bought by Netflix. That's not happening. There is no truth to that.
Although Netflix, is it, though? Or is it?
I mean, look, if they want to make us an offer, it will be considerably less than the $72 billion they're offering Warner Brothers Discovery, and would have significantly less ramifications for the industry and culture at large. But that's a separate conversation. We're back just in time. We literally I don't think we could have picked a more perfect time to come back, because we have breaking news. The latest and greatest, I'm just going to come right out and put that on this game. New Star Wars video game was just announced. Literally minutes before we started recording, Star Wars Fate of the Old Republic. We will get into that in just a minute. We'll also talk about the fact that the theatrical cut of A New Hope, not even A New Hope, of Star Wars 1977, it not only exists, but it's coming to theaters in February 2027. We've got some updates on Star Wars Starfighter, got some teases about Maul. What's it called? Maul Shadow Lord. Some tie-ins to that animated series. There's a lot to discuss. We're going to get to it all here tonight. First, though, introductions are in order. In case you're new to the show or you've forgotten who we are, that can happen. My name is Dominic Jones, and with me, as always, is the founder of the Star Wars Underworld, Ben Hart, the Star Wars guy.
How's it going, everybody? It's good to be back. Apologies for keeping you guys waiting so long, but hey, we came back at the perfect time, clearly. And as stated, lots happened. We have a lot. Like our top story this week, which is in the thumbnail and it's something you can see. It was just like 30 minutes ago, just uprooted, just thrown to the side, because there's even a bigger story. But we're gonna get to it all in due time, and it's gonna be a lot of fun, I'm sure.
Yeah, and Ben, I will say you had a good reason to be away. You were on vacation. You were down there in Hawaii. You were enjoying life, living it up that way. So I can't blame you for that. The rest of us have less good excuses, but you at least have a quality family vacation to have enjoyed. And yeah, but I will say, I think we were safe taking last week off, because all the news came this week. Like last week's show would have just been us sitting here going, I don't know, something's happening. Yeah. Maybe, I don't know. Well, hey, let's just guess about what's going on with Starfighter. This week, though, 3 or 4 pretty big stories, 2 major ones that we'll get to right off the bat. So like it was the right time to take a little bit of time off and the right time to come back. So there we go. I think we've justified it enough. So we'll remind you, so that you'll never miss a show if we're on or if we're off. Make sure you subscribe to Star Wars Underworld on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you like to listen to the shows. Super chat with us during the live show if you want to guarantee your question being included in Ask the SWU. Who knows if we'll have time for that this week? I don't know. Maybe not. But super chat with us nonetheless, and we will get to it in a future week if we don't get to it this week. Or you can become a channel member if you want to support the show financially. Subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, however you like to listen. Why did I hear myself?
Technical difficulties again.
And special shout out to everybody that included us in their Spotify Wrapped. If we were one of your top podcasts of the year, thank you. Join the Discord between shows to keep the discussion going and participate in weekly events like game nights, movie nights, all that stuff. Follow us on social media at the SWU and check out the rest of the programming on the Star Wars Underworld Network. That's the Raeside, that's Ion Cannon, that's Tales from Beyond the Galaxy, and that's the Tractor Beam. All right, let's get into this thing, and we'll start with the literal breaking news from moments ago. Star Wars Fate of the Old Republic, the new video game from Archinaut Studios and Lucasfilm Games, directed by Casey Hudson, he who directed the original Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic video game back in the early 2000s. Also a big part of the Mass Effect trilogy. Not a ton of details right now on the game. A teaser trailer was released. It's mainly for the vibes. There's not, I don't think there's a ton of story in there. You basically see three people, a human, an alien, and a droid, get off a ship, walk around on a planet, walk up to an older ship. They see something through a hatch, and then we get a close-up of a face and a lightsaber comes on. It's a good trailer. Yeah. It's a quality teaser.
Teasing. A+ teasing.
But I think it is literally just about the vibes, because StarWars.com also featured an interview with Casey Hudson and someone from Lucasfilm Games, Douglas Riley. The two of them talked about how they're really early in development on this thing. They're still working out the story. They're still working out what exactly is going to happen in this game. I don't think we're going to see it for a few years. But it is happening. It is announced. They've put out a trailer. And we all know with Star Wars video games, when you put out a trailer, it definitely happens. Let's go live now to our live stream of Star Wars Eclipse. I think this one has a much better chance of happening, given the fact that they've loaded it with that heavy Old Republic moniker. It's an MMO RPG, or no, it's just an RPG, single player storyline. Not a direct continuation of the Knights of the Old Republic franchise, so not Knights of the Old Republic 1 or 2, not a continuation of the Old Republic, which is an MMORPG.
Yeah.
Seems to be canon, as far as we can tell.
Yeah, that's the assumption, I suppose.
They don't directly address that, but given that, I feel like if it wasn't, they would lead with it. So until they say otherwise, we're going to say that this is our first foray into the Old Republic in the modern era of Star Wars, something that is post 2014, let's say, because the Old Republic itself kicked off sort of 2011, 12-ish then. So, Ben, I've done my best to do a terrible job of recapping the information. I'm going to throw it to you for your reaction to Star Wars Fate of the Old Republic, or FOTOR, as I think we should get used to calling it.
Is that what we're doing now? We've already decided. An hour after this thing has been announced, we are deciding FOTOR.
I mean, it could be, and we don't have to go with that. In fact, we probably shouldn't, because it sounds like something somebody would say to say it's not a real Old Republic. It's not the real KOTOR. It's more like fake KOTOR. It's FOTOR. But I like FOTOR. It works, same way that KOTOR works. Yeah,
it's not bad. I think I am probably the worst person to ask about this, like first impression, because the Knights of the Old Republic is not my forte. Okay, I have immense appreciation for it. I've played the game, but I don't know a lot of the lore. I've literally watching this trailer going oh, that ship looks familiar. I don't know what it is, but I'm pretty sure I've seen that before. That's my general reaction to the trailer. I mean, it looks amazing. I think my biggest takeaway is that the assumption that yes, this seems to be canon. This seems to be something that they're finally doing this thing we've talked about for years. People have been begging for. Do Knights of the Old Republic. People have talked about Knights of the Old Republic, the TV show, or a movie, or more games, or whatever else. Knights of the Old Republic 3. I think this is actually the best approach you can do. I think this is the best way to do this, and doing something that is adjacent to it. Obviously, taking that iconic title, Old Republic has been used in several titles in video games and other stuff. I think going this direction of doing something different, something that's obviously connected to that, but it's not like a continuation of that. It's not a third game, because I think those games are not canon, and they're going to stay not canon. I don't think you're going to get all those characters, Revan and all that back as they were, if they do come back. I think it's a good way to approach it, to go like, okay, that stuff happened. That stuff, a version of those events happened. All those characters, I think you're going to see, here's some name drops. You're going to see some characters come back. It seems to be having this crash ship signals that maybe years have gone by, maybe hundreds of years. We don't know, like, where in the timeline between, the High Republic era and the Old Republic era are we seeing this? But I think this is like the official, like, canon foray into the Old Republic era. This is the furthest back in the timeline we're going to be seeing. I think it's really interesting that we're seeing this. And ultimately it's very, very exciting that they're doing it. They're doing the thing, and it looks great.
It does indeed. Well, and we're going to keep talking about it. But first, though, we got to bring on another voice. This news is so big, we can't discuss it alone. Welcome back, Chris. Chris, good to have you. Glad you could make it. Have you? I assume you're aware of what's going on.
I was in cryogenic sleep because, I figured that if I go under now, I can wake up in like a few hundred years when the world's a better place. I was going to do that. And then somehow I picked up on the fact that there was an Old Republic trailer. And so I woke up just for this to talk about the thing that people have been wanting for like 10 years. I don't know how many years it's been. More Old Republic content.
Yeah, more Old Republic content. And as Ben was saying, like, this is like the relaunch of it. It's like it's kind of, I'm gonna say it's probably gonna be a bit of like a reboot, a kind of a soft reboot.
I agree with you, because I was basically I thought I'd be coming on podcast like 3 minutes earlier than I did, and the reason why is because I was watching the trailer and then I was reading it, speed reading as much as I could of the article that came with it on StarWars.com. And trying to assess that very thing, like, what is this? And that's basically, I couldn't read every single word of the article. I'm sure y'all have. But that's the feeling I was getting from the parts I was able to skim through, was that this sounds very much like a reboot. It doesn't sound like, I think it was specifically said this is not like a sequel or a prequel to the Old Republic or KOTOR. It's a new story, and they're excited to tell a new story, and that's the type of language that we've really gotten ever since Disney came around. Like, is new story, this, that, we're excited to go in a new direction. This is like, I feel like, and that basically is artist speak for reboot. So I don't know. I mean, like, it's tough, because it's like, if you're gonna do a quote unquote reboot of the Old Republic, and the Old Republic and Knights of the Old Republic are some of the most popular Star Wars things. It's interesting to me that they would still call it that. Like, I like that with the High Republic, they called it the High Republic. I like with the Acolyte, they called it the Acolyte. I'm a little bit interested. I understand that it's a similar creative team that worked on some of the old stuff, and that's why they're using the same verbiage, and that there's probably going to be a lot of references, and maybe some characters will be brought into canon from it. But I worry about, like, if you're going to reboot it, it's kind of like if you rebooted the Thrawn trilogy or rebooted the whole sequel era, but instead of calling it The Force Awakens, you called it Heir to the Empire. Like, how would people feel if like, that's what I'm.
They might be doing that. They might be doing that, like not rebooting the sequels, but doing Heir to the Empire. To me, what my sort of feeling on what this is going to be is, there was a key line that I left out of my scrambled recap of the announcement, again, because I also kind of sped read this right before we started.
No one's read it.
No
one's read it.
But this is the very first line. This is the very first line of the article. In Star Wars Fate of the Old Republic, step into the role of a Force user on a journey through a galaxy on the edge of rebirth at the end of the Old Republic. So this is, I don't know how we specifically define these eras anymore. High Republic is like 200 years before until 100 years before. Who knows what the Old Republic is? It seems to fit. It seems to just be a broad term to fill everything between James Mangold's movie and the High Republic. So this seems to be kind of a really, large amount of space to play with. So this is at the end of it. So you say fate of the Old Republic, there's going to be some transition stuff going on in the galaxy. But I suspect this character in the trailer, if that is a real character or that is just a stand-in for your create a character, you will go on in a mission, and that mission will involve investigating the past. And as you investigate the past, you will begin to uncover details about characters like Darth Revan and Darth Malak and Kenderis Ordo and people like that from the original games. And essentially we'll get the story of at least Knights of the Old Republic 1 retold through flashback, inference, suggestion, characters learning about the history within the larger context of the new story of Fate of the Old Republic. So you'll be on a new adventure that has strong ties back to events that bear a striking resemblance to Knights of the Old Republic. Again, I think definitely 1, probably 2. Old Republic, I think, is kind of out the window as its own thing. I think you just kind of leave that as a too much has happened in the Old Republic.
That's where it gets
10 years down. that video game has been on the air. They have done so many things. There have been so many stories. I have not been able to keep up with it, but I know folks that do play that game. They know all the evolutions that it's gone through, and it's covered a lot of ground. I think that goes out the window. I think you focus in on the stuff that built that legacy, which is KOTOR 1 and 2, and you bring those stories into canon without necessarily canonizing the game, and you can find ways to continue those stories in new, original, fresh ways that involve the new set of characters or whoever your new playable character is in this game.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's so interesting to do that, where it's like Fate of the Old Republic is also in a sense in that way a sequel to Knights of the Old Republic, in a similar way to how the Old Republic was, but then the Old Republic doesn't have that same relationship to Fate of the Old Republic that Fate of the Old Republic has to Knights of the Old Republic. It's such an interesting way to do it. And I get what you're saying, in when you say there's so much that's happened, there's so much to reference and incorporate, because SWTOR, Star Wars The Old Republic, has a much more expansive run than the 2 KOTOR games. But it just seems strange to me to kind of have this whole section of Star Wars that's kind of its own little universe, this ancient Star Wars lore that has these MMOs and RPGs, and then just say, okay, these ones we're gonna do a sequel to, kind of, but it's not really a sequel, but we're gonna reference them and they're gonna be kind of viable, kind of. But then this other one, we're not really going to pay much attention to that. We're going to kind of do something that's maybe in the timeline where that would have been. It's weird that they're kind of rebooting one, but still referencing the other. It's a strange situation to me, to treat them differently.
I think it's I see where you're coming from, to be sure. But I think for me, what I see this as, it is a reboot. It's nothing in those games is definitive as far as this game is concerned. This game is its own thing, and if they decide, that decision we made back in 2002, I don't know, let's not go with that. They don't have to go with it, but they love those games that they worked on. They're very proud of those games that they worked on, as they should be, because many people played them and loved them. And so they will bring in the broad strokes version of the story in their own way. It's sort of loosely tying it in, but the focus remains on whoever this new character is, whoever your new character is, as the player of the game. So I get where you're coming from. Like, the Old Republic certainly has a huge fan base, but it also wasn't the cultural touchstone that Knights of the Old Republic was within the sort of, gaming nerd subculture, where I think a lot of people played Knights of the Old Republic because it was Game of the Year in 2003. And Old Republic, I think people remember those trailers. Maybe those trailers can stay canon. We'll find some way to re-bring those things back in. But by and large, it didn't create those same ripples. So when you're bringing in that heavy title of the Old Republic, or subtitle of the Old Republic, most people hear that, they would think of Darth Revan. And so you'll find some way to do some epic reveal within this movie, if only, within this game, that reveals, this character is the great granddaughter of Darth Revan, or this ship that they're searching is Darth Revan's old ship, and it has, some connection to him and what he was doing after that game happened, blah, blah, things like that. It'll essentially be Spider-Man No Way Home, where the main thrust of the story is about this character. It's set within its own timeline, but it will reference the events of previous timelines, potentially even bringing in some characters, probably not through like time travel, world hopping, or anything like that, but maybe some holograms and holocrons will reincorporate Revan and beyond. I think Revan's the key one, and everything after that's kind of gravy.
I think, wasn't there for a while, I can't remember. Tell me what you remember about the concept of the KOTOR remake, because this is this whole thing that was happening for years, and I can't remember what exactly it was and whatever happened to it. I just remember everybody was talking about there might be a KOTOR remake. I don't remember much.
It was announced and allegedly is still happening. But what was never clear for me, was it a remake in the sense of like it's a brand new game from scratch with modern graphics and modern this and everything like that? Like, essentially, the equivalent of going from the animated Lion King to Jon Favreau's Lion King, right? Like, is it like that? Or is it one of those things where they're taking the game as you remember it, as you know it, as you played it in 2003, and just kind of making it work on, modern consoles, game systems, all that stuff? Is that what they're doing? And it's never been quite clear to me what it was, and it's remained vague. Every now and again you get a little update from the developer, and it's just sort of like, yep, still doing it. And we've seen nothing since like an original teaser trailer that was just basically some old dialogue from the original game over a new looking Darth Revan, which could mean anything.
Yeah. I mean, this is like, what's interesting about this is KOTOR obviously was fantastic. It was a fantastic story. Like you said, won a bunch of awards and was very popular that year that it came out. And it's like, you can do two things. I feel like you can either tell that again, like remake it in a next gen modern way, because that was like over 20 years ago, and things have evolved much. You could do so much more now than you could then, and you still have those amazing characters and storylines and things that everybody loves and has been one of the biggest video game lore contributions that Star Wars has ever had. to the point where it's expanded out into other types of media too, like novels and such. And you got your merchandise, your action figures, and everything. It's got so many other multimedia aspects to it than just KOTOR. Or you do kind of what the Acolyte or the High Republic have done, and you just make a whole new thing. Or James Mangold, you make a whole new thing. And I feel like they're trying to be in the middle of these two things. I feel like they're trying to have their cake and eat it too, and they're trying to be like, okay, we want to tell a new story. We want to do what the High Republic did. We want to have new characters and this and that. But at the same time, we still kind of want to capitalize and ride the coattails of the success of this project that happened 20 years ago. So we're going to have a name that incorporates that name, and we're going to have, we're going to say that it's going to, be inspired and affected by that lore. And I feel like what that does is it sets it up to feel like it's in the shadow of something that was greater than itself. And that it's kind of going to be a similar thing to what we get with a lot of Star Wars, say, television projects and films that come out sometime between, or like are in the timeline sometime between Revenge of the Sith and a little bit after the original trilogy, where it's like you just feel like, oh, they're just making it to make as many references as they can to the original trilogy. And so I'm like, are we just gonna be just going through this game being like, okay, how many moments can we get where we're like referencing something from KOTOR, and is that gonna be like the main appeal of the game? And is the unique story of the game gonna even be good enough to stand on its own and rival KOTOR as the next like Star Wars game of the year? Or is there going to be so much energy being diverted into making it tied into KOTOR to build capture that built-in audience, that it's just going to live in the shadow of KOTOR, and it's going to be like the KOTOR nostalgia game? And it's like, if you're going to do that, then just make KOTOR again. Like, if the main reason why you're making this is to make a KOTOR thing, then just make KOTOR. Just make Knights of the Republic again in a modern gen console way, and tell the same story again, but have it be longer and more detailed and more visually, and have the game be the playability of the game be far more expansive. Just like take that structure and then just add all of the stuff that we have in the Jedi Survivor series to it, and I feel like then you don't have to ride the coattails of anything. You don't have to be in the shadows of anything. You don't have to be about nostalgia. The game itself can just be one of the greatest games ever. Kind of like, last thing I'll say on this is a metaphor I can think of is, what if Peter Jackson went to go and make the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and he said, no, I'm actually kind of making a sequel to the animated Lord of the Rings films, and it's going to reference the lore from those films, but this is a new Lord of the Rings story. That's what it feels like, compared to like, let's just make Lord of the Rings in live action.
Is it that, or is it Deadpool and Wolverine?
No, it's not Deadpool and Wolverine, because if it was Deadpool and Wolverine, this would be Revan and Vizsla.
Okay. Is it? But this is why I think that's I think this works. I think this is a good way of doing it. It's a legacy sequel, to be sure, but it allows it to be a new game, but it can reference the past. It's less like saying, okay, we're gonna reference the animated Lord of the Rings movies, and more like saying we're gonna reference the novel The Hobbit. It's that's what's happening here. This stuff that happened, it's relevant to the backstory, but it doesn't have to overtake the story of this game. That's the challenge for the developers. That's the challenge for these people making it, is to not let it become, The Force Awakens. It has to be its own thing. It has to be its own story, but you can incorporate your backstory. You can have that story of KOTOR be the backstory to this game without it just being reference. I this to me is more exciting than a remake of the original game. This to me is like, okay, we're gonna try something new. We're gonna do something, move something forward. But obviously we'll find out in 10 years when this game finally comes out.
It's the name and the marketing of the announcement that I have the problem with, because it's like, if you're gonna do that, don't call it what you called it, and don't make it all about we're bringing the KOTOR person back, because okay.
Oh, why? Okay, why would we not make a big deal?
Why? Because you're gonna compare it. Then it's like,
well,
how cool would it be if you have a?
So are we banning this person from making Star Wars games?
No. How cool would it be if they said that the person from KOTOR is coming back to make a completely new game, but they didn't call it? They didn't have the word the Old Republic in the title, and they just said this is just a new, completely new Star Wars video game. Has nothing to do with the Old Republic. That's the key part. What? Has nothing to do with the Old Republic. And then we played the game, and there was all those references, and they would be like, cool, look at all these cool references to the Old Republic. That's awesome. Then it would be a bonus to have that stuff, instead of now it's like, if we don't have that, then what's the point? Because that's what they're pinning it on.
It's like, okay, you know what? You've convinced me. And you know what? When they brought back the guy who made the Clone Wars to do a live action show, they shouldn't have called it Ahsoka. They should have just called it something else.
Because Ahsoka was in that. If they called this Revan the game, it would be perfect. It would be awesome. But
I think honestly
about Ahsoka.
But it's set in the Old Republic. It's set in this era. That's what it's describing. What you're getting in the game.
It's the characters, not the era, that make it.
But we don't. I would be shocked. I would be astounded if we don't get Revan in this, fully. I think that's where this is headed, obviously. And I think ultimately this is really the only option they have, is to do this, because if you think about it, you can do a remake, but everyone would hate it because it's the same thing over again. I'm talking about a real remake, not we're taking the game, we're upping the graphics and doing a reboot, whatever else. You can do a sequel, but the old games are not canon, so how do you do that? And then, or you can do just whatever. There's so many options, but most of them are not good. I think doing something that's okay, this is a spiritual sequel to this, and going okay, we're going to do this over here, so it's not connected, but it is, and we can use that iconography. That's that's the thing in Hollywood, especially these days, or video games or anything. It's just take something familiar and do something new with it. And I think this is the way to go in regards to taking this, and they can cherry pick what they have, and they're not married to the old story and what is canon, what is not. I think that's going to be left intentionally ambiguous. I think certain things you'll be left wondering what's canon from the old stuff. Well, what you see in this game is going to be canon, and that's going to be it. And it'll be inferred that it's all a legend, it's all spooky stuff that happened way long in the past, and we don't know exactly what exactly happened, and whatever version of what those events is, whatever you want it to be.
It to me, it's just this. It's continue. It's a new game. It builds on the legacy of the previous games. It doesn't have to go the route of just being reference. It can be its own thing. And if it is its own thing that has a couple of references sprinkled in here that brings back the feeling of playing the old games, then you've succeeded. Then you have an audience that's on board. To me, there's no way around calling it something the old Republic, but that's where we want.
We're gonna be getting Old Republic things until the end of time, until the Earth blows up one day. We're gonna be getting something the Old Republic, because it's a line from the original movie and it's very iconic. It's very cool. So obviously we're gonna be that they're just gonna reuse that forever. And it just happens to be associated with a very popular and very legendary video game from 20 years ago.
Yeah,
so that's more reason for them to reuse it.
Yeah, there you go, Ben. It's not even a reference to the video game. It's a reference to Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's what I'm going with now.
I mean, and it's like the MMO, the MMORPG, that the Old Republic. You had Knights of the Old Republic, and you had the Old Republic. Like those games are connected, but they're kind of not. There's kind of some crossover in the story, but it's like kind of a continuation. But it's like, again, it's kind of a spiritual sequel. It's not a sequel. It's using the Old Republic name to just continue and do more stuff with this era.
Yes. What is interesting, what's something else that's interesting about this to me is that they are, I always assumed, and maybe this was a wrong assumption on my part, but that they were holding off on introducing new big eras, in non-film or television mediums until they did a film or television show there that could set the big epic story for that era. Obviously High Republic kind of wound up being a little bit sort of backwards. It worked backwards there, but I think that was originally meant to just be a publishing thing. And then Leslie Headland came in and said, actually, my story takes place around there. Can I do a whole bunch of tie-ins? That would be fun. This one, I was waiting, and as I think a lot of us were for the last 10 years, for the announcement of Fate of the Old Republic, the TV show, Fate of the Old Republic, the movie, Fate of the Old Republic, whatever.
Yeah.
That was a trilogy of movies, maybe made by like David Benioff and D.B. Weiss or something. That was some epic story from 2,000 years before The Phantom Menace that would establish this era. And I do like that they are not limiting themselves to that. I think it's a little disappointing that we never got a story like that in movie or TV, but I like that they've gone, all right, can't do everything in every era all the time. We have to focus our live action storytelling in probably one or two eras. So we want to do things on other eras. Let's try other mediums. And so they're going with the medium that made this era famous in the first place to relaunch it. Again, interesting that they're setting it at the end. That does leave them a lot of leeway to, if they wanted to, do a trilogy of movies or 5 seasons of TV or whatever down the line and not be totally boxed in by other things. But if this game is big enough, much in the same way that a lot of people, love Darth Revan and want that story to be made into a movie, you could certainly see this character or the things that are established by this game be seriously referenced, seriously adapted into a movie or a show, similar to how the Acolyte pulled in a lot of the High Republic book stuff in its design and its feel and its vibes. And I suspect if we ever do see an Old Republic movie, it'll do the same with this game if this game is successful and actually happens.
That would be wild.
Let's remember. Let us remember that the most profitable industry, like anywhere right now, is the video game industry. Like, there's a lot going for that, I think, but they are also able to do different things, do things they can't do with movies, even though, they're trying desperately to like turn the most popular video games into movies and TV shows. It doesn't always work.
Yeah.
So I think this is a great way to like introduce the era, do it in a way that people are familiar with. People associate Knights of the Old Republic in general with games. I think do this, and then if it's successful, if it makes $1 trillion, which it might as a game whenever it comes out, then you can go like, well, okay, let's do some tie-ins. Let's not do the video game, the movie version of Fate of the Old Republic. Let's do a prequel trilogy or something. Like they can do plenty of stuff around it.
Or you do if the Old Republic is really thousands and thousands of years, you do something that's set 1,000 years beforehand, and you don't even have to worry about it. Is the other option too?
It would be really wild if people were asking for like a KOTOR or the Old Republic related movie for like 20 years, and then a game comes out, and then they make a movie based on that game and not the stuff that people have been wanting a movie from. Like I don't know. That seems a little strange to me.
Well, they'll make a story set in the Old Republic era that pulls the design and look inspiration from this game. I think that's more likely than a direct adaptation of this. And as I think we've just spent a lot of time discussing, the design and look inspiration for this game will come from the OG Knights of the Old Republic games.
Yeah.
Fun times.
Yeah.
We're going to watch this.
Derivatives.
For sure.
It's true. But I mean, the Knights of the Republic games are derivative of George Lucas's movies, which were derivative of on and on and on and on.
Yeah. At some point, you cloned it enough times, and it's like, what is this?
At some point, it's gonna stumble into something new, accidentally, one of these days.
Yeah.
Also, is that a Fondor Hallcraft that she's flying there? Is that what that is? Certainly looks like
your guess is as good as mine, Ben, and in fact, it's probably better because
there was so many references to the Old Republic and Andor. It kind of makes sense that they would go backwards and like start referencing Andor with.
That'd be hilarious.
That's what I got. I've only seen the trailer once. Okay, I can't do a Ben's Connection Corner proper. Okay, I'm just throwing stuff out there.
There we go. All right, let's move off of this. I'm sure we will discuss it many, many more times in the weeks, months, and years to come. There was no release date given for this game. Not even like a vague release window. They didn't even say like 2029. No, we'll have to just sort of wait and see what comes of this. But I think unlike Star Wars Eclipse, this one probably has a pretty good chance of actually getting made.
God dang it. I forgot that was going to be a thing. And now I'm mad that it's like not going to happen because that did look really cool.
Yeah. It was another great teaser trailer. Just left.
Yeah.
Left to gather dust on the shelf. All right. Let's move on and we'll talk now about what we thought until about an hour and a half ago was going to be the top story this week, and that is the return to cinemas of the original Star Wars. That's right. The theatrical cut of Star Wars 1977 back in theaters for a limited time starting February 19th, 2027. So still a little ways out. About 14 months from now, we'll be able to gather in theaters to watch this thing. This is the same re-release that they announced a few months ago for April. They've moved it up to February, and they have finally confirmed that it is the theatrical cut. This is, according to StarWars.com, a newly restored version of the classic theatrical release. I assume it's that one they showed in London at the BFI festival earlier this year. It's back. It's real. It's happening. How do we feel?
I can't believe it took 15 years since George Lucas went away for them to finally do it. Like, because I mean, this is George Lucas is the reason why we're even excited about this, because this is just like in any other film franchise, any re-release would be this. And they would, continuously make the remastering and updates as, technology improved and the fidelity of the visuals and the audio improved. They'd have to match it. And but it's odd that we're like, oh my gosh, this is incredible, because George Lucas just denied us this for 30 years almost. Yeah, 30 years.
Yeah.
Because it was around 20th anniversary that the special editions were made. It's so interesting to me how we've come full circle, and now we finally, for the 50th anniversary, are for the first time getting the actual movie in theaters without it being completely redone. Like, really, really interesting to me. Really, really interesting. I'm glad it's happening.
I love that.
Interesting.
I love that they put out this little statement on StarWars.com, and it was literally just like 3 little paragraphs. It's just like, oh, by the way, we're changing the date, and also it's the unaltered theatrical cut, and which is like tells me that like when they first did that initial announcement of just like, hey, we're bringing A New Hope back to the theaters for 50th anniversary, which it seems like a pretty standard thing. Like it makes sense to do that. There was a shred of doubt maybe back then that they could get the unaltered cut. And now they have it confirmed. And of course there's been so much said about this, especially recently. There's been a lot of rumors. There's been leaked screenshots from this. Who knows if they're real, because I don't trust anything I see on Reddit most of the time. And just like endless. There's been endless things said about this particular version of the movie, a version of the movie that I've never really watched all the way through. I've seen a lot of the scenes. I've never actually sat down and watched the unaltered cut. And there's been that debate over the years, just like, will they ever release it? Will George, the thing, is it in George's contract when he signed with Disney that he would never allow this to happen? And also just like, well, they destroyed the negatives way back in the day to do this and that, and it doesn't actually exist. And then the whole talk about like, oh yeah, by the way, there's different versions of the original things. There's different sound mixes for different theaters that came out in 1977. So the original version is actually several different, slightly different versions. And just like the whole culture around this and the conversation we've had over and over for as long as I can remember, like, could this happen? Should this happen? For film preservation, for whatever else people want to see the movie that they saw in the theaters. It's crazy. I feel like it can't be overstated how big of a deal this is, that this is happening.
Yeah.
Because it is. It's a great thing. And I think I've always agreed with the idea of just for film preservation, for the fact of you have this movie that changed the world, and technically speaking, you can't see that version of the movie anymore. That's wild. I will always respect George and his vision, his ability, and his ownership, and his right to change the movie that he made and do what he wants with it. But also the other side of that coin of just like, can we just watch the original? Can we just see the movie that everyone freaked out about in 1977? The fact that that's coming back, I think, is great. It's wonderful. It's crazy news, and I think it's going to be much better. From what I'm hearing, again, who knows if this is true or not, but like, they've been working on this for a very long time. They've been remastering this thing. Apparently, there was a rumor that George was involved somehow. I don't know if that's true. Like, there's crazy stuff happening, and and a lot early. I think so. That is, but February, which again, really good timing on that. I always felt it was a little too close to Starfighter.
Yes.
To have it just a few weeks before. Having it in February, much better timing. We'll have plenty of time, because if it really does well, then they're going to want to keep it in theaters maybe a little bit longer, and there'll be hullabaloo about A New Hope for a few months, and then we'll get Starfighter. So that's good.
Yeah, I agree. And 50th anniversary, I think, is the right time to do this, because you are celebrating 50 years of Star Wars. So there is not a better time in my mind to return to the version of the movie that changed the world. So let's put that one back in theaters for the 50th anniversary. I agree with everything that's been said about, for the sake of, cultural history and film preservation, all that stuff, that it's good that this version will be available, that people will get to see it. People will get to understand why it is that it blew so many minds in 1977. I, though, have always been very much in George Lucas's camp, that they're his movies. He gets to decide what they look like, how they get made, and what versions are out there. And the art to me belongs to the artist. The audience doesn't have to like it. You don't have to like that Greedo shoots first. You don't have to like any of the changes, but George made those movies, and it's his vision, and his vision is what we see now on streaming on Disney Plus. So I'm not against this happening, but I've always been okay with the fact that the version that is out there is George Lucas's version. And I doubt that George is involved in this, but I hope that they had to at least get his sign off on it for this, because that does matter to me. It does matter to me. It does. I'm not saying it has to matter to anybody else, but it matters to me.
I still don't quite understand, how giant corporations like Disney work. I don't think any one person does. I think it's a bunch of people partially understanding it, and somehow it all works. But like, obviously, like, unless something has changed, George Lucas is one of the key owners of Disney that was part of the deal. So obviously, like, he does still have some behind the scenes say, because, we always talk about Bob Iger this and Bob Iger that, but it's like, who's Bob Iger answering to? George Lucas is one of the people Bob Iger answers to. So, I'm sure he has something to say about this really super, super behind the scenes, far away from any other staff or press or anything, and the board, kind of the board level of the company and stuff like that. What you were saying made me think about something for the first time, which is, what's the over under on opening day / night of this movie, the Han Greedo scene when the shot happens gets applause?
Oh, it's like 98% likely to happen. Especially at, like, if you go to like some like special screening of it, if some kind of like premiere screening, if they do those, like, it's gonna be whoops and hollers. It's gonna be ridiculous, but it's gonna happen.
Why do I just like feel joyful of the fact that there's going to be people that are going to be so confused? It's almost like a schadenfreude for confusion. Like, the people are just going to be like, why is everybody applauding the fact that this shot just happened? I don't get it. It's not that big a part of the movie. I mean, I get it that he killed him and it's cool that he, beat him, but like, why is everybody applauding this? I don't understand. Why are they standing up? Why are they still applauding? It's been 2 minutes. What? This isn't cons.
Well, the other thing that's going to happen, and
what if though?
Go ahead, Ben. Go ahead.
No, all I'm going to say is, what if? I know. But what if George signed off on this is due to the fact that he put it in the contract that you can change the movie and bring it back, but Han still can't shoot first. It just can't happen.
We can sue them for that, for false advertising. If they say it's the theatrical cut, they mean it's the theatrical cut. We could do a class action lawsuit.
It's gonna be the the version that screens in movies is gonna come from that print that they found in London, and from all the screenings that happened earlier this summer, which I say all, I think there were 2 or 3. It was very clear that Han shot first. That's gonna happen. The other thing that will happen though is, and this did come out of those London screenings, is some of the things that people have internalized over the years as that are part of the special editions that weren't there in the original movies. People are gonna be like, hey, where the hell was that? There's gonna be, I think people are going to be startled by the Death Star battle. I think that's going to be an eye-opening experience for people about just how much work ILM did on the special editions and subsequent re-releases. Not saying this is bad. I'm not saying this is bad. And it is, and I do agree that it is important that we get that people see the version of the movie that began all this. But there's going to be a little bit of it's going to be a bit of an eye-opening experience for some people that have internalized this idea of wanting the re-releases, that the original versions are so much better than the special editions, and you're gonna get caught a little bit flat-footed in a few places where you're like, oh right, I did like it better that Han shot first, but
the fact
those ILM effects.
Here's the thing. If they continued to make the original cut of the film available on whatever the newest media was and put it on streaming when streaming became a thing, I don't think you would have that whole debate of special editions versus original and all these people saying that the original is better, because it's just people who are salty because they can't have something. And that, I think that's why, because I have no doubt that the special editions and then the DVD editions and then the Blu-ray editions and the streaming editions, all the 5 different changes that we've had. Like, I have no doubt that each one is better than the previous one. They wouldn't change it unless it was better. George wouldn't change it unless it was better. The only thing that's up for debate here is, should it have been completely inaccessible to see the original version? And it's exciting that they've finally decided that it's accessible again in a way, and that's cool. But there's no merit behind the changes ruined the movie or made it a worse movie. Like, creatively, some of the things, like the shooting first thing, is open for interpretation of what's the best choice. But as far as like the effects go and the added scenes and add this and that, like, all of that made everything, all 6 movies, because they've all gotten altered, better.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And for the record, Han should have always shot first. Like, I'm not even going to argue. I think that I do think that like that when George did that, it was a mistake, but it's his mistake to make because it's his movie. The other thing is that's interesting about this is, I think if this announcement had come 10 years ago, like if they had done this for the 40th anniversary of Star Wars, I do think it would have been a bigger deal. Like, do the kids that grew up with the prequels, or not even the prequels, like grew up post prequels, having had the prequels be done, do they care about the theatrical cuts? Like, is it a big deal to them the way it is to Gen X? I'm on the very end of that. Revenge of the Sith was the first Star Wars movie, and what I thought would be the only Star Wars movie I saw in theaters when it happened. And you've heard my opinion. I don't really care. I stand with George on his like right to make those decisions and all that.
I only care out of curiosity. Myself.
Same.
Like, I just am curious what the experience would be like, because when we sit down and we watch this in the theater, it's the closest thing that we have ever gotten to the experience people had at 77 that was described as the most earth-moving experience of their million people's lives. So it's like that's the only thing that is cool about this. But like, I think unlike y'all, I did see Star Wars before the special editions came out, but I being 4, 5, 6 years old, the special editions came out when I was 5.5, I think. I don't remember the changes. Like, I don't remember a point like where, I was watching the movie and I'm like, oh, that's different. Like, it wasn't until we got to the DVD and the Blu-ray changes that I'm like, oh, that's different. But as far as the changes, however major or minor, I had no idea, because I was like 5. I have no idea. I don't remember. So I'm not like yearning for the things that I saw that, I haven't seen again. But, anybody that's slightly older than me, yeah, sure. If you're 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, when the special edition came out, then it is weird that you saw something on a VHS tape or like a laser disc that has since gotten just is unwatchable, and you can never get it back. Like, that's a big deal. And for Gen X, this is huge. Obviously, yes, we do have a lot more in the Star Wars fandom and audience in younger generations, all the way to Gen Alpha. Now we can get to start talking about Gen Beta babies watching Star Wars cartoons for the first time in the next few years. But Gen X, they're still all alive. It's still a massive heart. They're all still gonna be excited about this. That's my point. Yeah,
and like this movie, it's gonna hit for them, certainly. It's gonna hit for all of us who are curious about it. And there's just the 50th anniversary. It's a celebration. Like, that's gonna bring everybody out. But because I was thinking about this, of the re-releases that have happened recently, like the biggest ones have not been like Return of the Jedi was in theaters for a week in 2023. People went and saw it. It was, it's not like the theater sat empty. But what was far bigger than that was the next 2 years, Phantom Menace and Revenge of the Sith. And that's where the energy is with people who either grew up with those prequels as they were coming out, or were born in that time between Phantom Menace or between Revenge of the Sith and Force Awakens, where the prequel trilogy already existed. And so going to see those movies wound up being a a bigger deal. I'm not going to count the Empire re-release in 2020 because that was COVID times and it was weird to go to the movie theaters. You could, in a theater of 200 seats, you could buy 40 of them, sort of thing. Like, it was really a strange thing. Rogue One re-release kind of was more about pumping the tires of Andor. So again, sort of leave that aside. This is the first one of the original trilogy where it's sort of like, okay, we're gonna see where the energy is for the OT re-releases compared to the prequel re-releases, which were pretty big. And I expect the fact that 50th anniversary, original theatrical cut, like those two factors will elevate this one in a way that the Return of the Jedi one almost felt like a little bit of an afterthought. And I think it was sort of like announced like, hey, it's happening. And then 2 weeks later it was in theaters. Whereas Revenge of the Sith and Phantom Menace had sort of month-long buildups to it actually happening, so people could get excited and get their plans together.
Yeah, and the prequels, a lot of them are being re-released for the first time. We had that Phantom Menace 3D re-release in 2012. But then we never got Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith released in 3D, which still boggles my mind to this day why that didn't happen.
They're done. They exist. They're done.
Yeah, it's why
wasn't it part of it?
I thought it made a decent amount of money compared, but I don't know.
I went and for the Revenge of the Sith re-release earlier this year. I went and saw it in 4DX. You know what was missing from the 4D experience?
The 3D.
3D.
It just was the water.
Existed. The water effects and my seat shook around so much. Dragged a friend there to see it who doesn't really like Star Wars, but she likes the 4DX thing. Is being thrown around like it's the whole it was this whole wacky experience. I'm like, but you forgot one part of it, and it's not like that part would have required any extra work. The seat shaking required the extra work.
Yeah, it makes no sense. But anyway, the point is, yes, they did do Phantom Menace, but they didn't do the other two. So I'm not surprised that the Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith re-releases were more successful than Return of the Jedi because we have already gotten Return of the Jedi in 97. Which again was a long time ago, granted, but it's like you did have an opportunity for that generation to see it again when they were a bit older, and kids to see it as adults, because that's kind of what a re-release is about when you're just doing it the way that most of the releases have done. It's like something you saw when you were younger. Now you're older, you can kind of maybe appreciate it differently. You get to see it again, or you get to bring your kids to something experienced as a kid. Like, that's what's really cool about it. And we're kind of past the point where the original trilogy has that happening. So like you said, I think the only reason why it has a chance of being as successful or more successful than the Revenge of the Sith re-release is the fact that it's the original cut and you have all that either curiosity or nostalgia for that.
Yeah. And the fact that, Return of the Jedi got that 97 re-release. Like, that's the key thing there. Because what are we talking about?
Because that was huge.
Yeah. Because we're talking about the kids that grew up with the prequels or grew up after the prequels going and see the prequels for the first time or for the first time in a long time. That generation did that in 97.
So you know what this one is? Bring the grandkids.
Bring the grandkids.
Your grandpa saw Star Wars in 77. Now you're gonna see it. That's crazy.
That's not even it's not even a joke. That's just genuinely what's gonna be happening.
I mean, it's a 50th anniversary, which means that most of the median age of people who watched it in 77 are going to be people in their 60s. So 60s and 70s. So they're going to all grandkids that they're going to be bringing. Crazy.
Yeah. Oh, and like we talk about Star Wars being multi-generational, and we tend to focus on like the youth when we talk about that, but that does include like older generations too. Like I remember going and see Force Awakens 10 years ago, and it was like a random like Tuesday afternoon screening. I was in university at the time, so I didn't have class that afternoon, so I'm like, I'm gonna go see Star Wars. And I got to the theater, and I swear to God, like the local nursing home had showed up. Like, it was all like these grannies and grandpas with their like walkers and canes and oxygen tanks, and they're just like, yeah, we're gonna see the new Star Wars. I'm like, this is awesome. Bringing every generation out to see it, and
that's they're all Harrison Ford's age, so it makes sense.
Exactly. They're like, finally representation for us.
Yes,
old man.
Laura Santeca, favorite character. Opens it right. That's the old ways.
All right, so we're gonna have a lot of fun in February of 2027. Again, sort of 14 months from now, watching this movie. The question that remains is, what about Empire? What about Jedi? I suspect, to go along with this theatrical release of A New Hope, some kind of home media release of the whole trilogy in theatrical cuts. Hey, May 4th, 2025 or 2026. Wouldn't that be a real fun thing to say? Hey, a year from now, you'll be able to buy all these, or be able to stream all them, or whatever.
And then we get them in theaters in 3 and 6 years
in the appropriate times. Yeah, and
maybe
we can. Yeah, and then we can have the 4DX experiences for them as well. We can.
And then the only 50th anniversary left will be Phantom Menace, and then we're all gonna be dead.
Oh, great! Yeah, that's fun. That's really great.
More for the Rogue One 50th anniversary.
Yeah, Rogue One 50th anniversary.
We'll survive to the Phantom Menace 50th anniversary.
What 50th? Will we make it to the 50th anniversary of The Rise of Skywalker? That's the real question here.
So here's the thing. I have a thing about this. It's actually a thing I tell people. I tell people this a lot, but I don't think I've ever said it on the podcast before. I actually have a very specific goal in my life.
Okay. All right.
Which is that I want to break the only Guinness World Record that can be broken by doing absolutely nothing, which is being the oldest person to die. Which is a weird way of saying it, or the oldest person to have ever lived, or however you want to say it. So for me, to outlive Jean Calment of France, I have to live.
Is it Jean or Jean?
It's a woman.
Oh, okay.
So it's not Sean. I don't know how to say the female version, but it's Jeanne, however you pronounce that.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I have
how old is she?
Yeah. So now she already set the record because she died.
Okay.
But she lived to be 122 years old and some change. So basically, I have to live till 2114. That is my goal, to make it till 2114. So I'm not thinking about 50th anniversaries here. I'm thinking about what's the 100th anniversary. So 100th anniversary of Star Wars Rebels is about what I'm trying to go for.
That's the last thing you watch before you die. It's not. It's the anniversary of just spark a rebellion and get to the end.
Yeah. Yep. Because I was, and it would be very full circle because I was at the premiere of that movie.
There you go.
So there we go. Or episode, I should say. Movie episode event. Yeah, I was at the premiere of the episode at San Diego Comic-Con in 2014. And so I will die immediately after watching the re-release of that episode in theaters for its 100th year anniversary in the year 2114. So I will watch it, and I will die in the seat in the theater. They're gonna have to take my body and move it out.
Oh, I feel
this ain't gonna be messy.
I feel bad for the theater staff in 2114. Boy, those people are gonna have a day. But hey, they'll get to be on the news, I'm sure, because the news will still exist.
The news. Oh gosh.
All right. There we go. Star Wars The Theatrical Cuts coming to theaters February 19th, 2027. Mark your calendars. And we're going to have some fun talking about it and watching it all together, celebrating 50 years of Star Wars. And then a few months later, we'll have Star Wars Starfighter to take us into the future, take us into the next 50 years. Okay, what else we got here? Let's get into some Maul stuff. Maul Shadow Lord, or Shadow of Maul. This is a new 5-issue comic book series from Marvel Comics. It's a prequel to Maul Shadow Lord. It's written by Benjamin Percy and Madibek Musabekov. and that's who's doing the art. It's a 5-issue miniseries. Leads us into the series. It will launch in March. So, interestingly, here's my question. Does this tell us when the show is coming out, because it's coming out in March at the same time as the comic book? Or are they going to be bold and exciting and do the launch of the series after the comic book and let it be a true lead-in? We can read this book over 5 months or 5 weeks if they wanted to, shrink the release window down, and then basically you can finish reading issue 5 and start watching episode 1, or will issue 1 come out 2 weeks before episode 1, then episode 1 begins and we watch the show, and as we're watching season 1 we get to go back and learn some of the backstory simultaneously with the book. That is my question. That's what I would like to know. Nobody's going to give that answer, I'm sure, for many more weeks.
I like the prequel idea. Like, I like what they did with like Catalyst and did they do it with a New Dawn novel as well? Did that come out before? Yeah. So for doing a comic like Prequel to the Mall Shadowlord show, I think would be pretty cool to get some hype there, and I think it would be putting a bit of a more audience to it, because people who are really excited for the show might want like an early like preview of what's going on.
Yeah, I feel like if this is coming out like week to week or month to month before the show, I'm like there every issue as it comes out, reading it as it goes. If it comes out at the same time as the show, probably waiting till the whole thing is done. Maybe waiting for a trade paperback. Like if it's the hype leading up to the show, I'm there. If it's simultaneous or even after, I'm waiting.
Because you already have the show. You already have your fix in the show. You already have something new every week.
Exactly. I think I do like that they're doing a proper tie-in. We don't get proper tie-ins the way we used to. I know we got there was some stuff for Acolyte, but that all came after. Andor only gets like spiritual tie-ins. Mando hasn't had any tie-ins. Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, Book of Boba Fett, they don't really get tie-ins. They get adaptations, but nothing else. Bad Batch had a novel, but the novel came after. Like, this is like a proper, like you said, it's like Catalyst. It's like a New Dawn, this is what they were doing 10 years ago. And they seem to have moved away from it for whatever reason. I don't know if maybe it's the production lead time on the show is so much longer that they are able to do something like this. But I'm glad they're doing it. And I think they should do more of it. I think they should make more of an effort to have these things, come out and interact with each other. Not in a way where you have to read you have to read the book to understand the show, or even that you have to watch the show to understand the book, but in a way where if you watch and read both, then you get a more enriched experience. I think that's been lacking for the last 10 years. And I think everything kind of runs in its own circles and doesn't get to build momentum across the medium in a way that I felt like was the plan early on. And they've just kind of moved away from it because of, how difficult it is. I'm not saying it's easy, but give it another go. Give it another go with something like this.
I mean, it's like, I get why it's difficult to do that, because you don't know like if the story is finalized for what's coming after it, and you kind of have to produce them at the same time. Like, it takes a lot of communication, and then it takes energy away from both people making it. Like, I get the logistical, real world reasons why it's difficult to do like a tie-in prequel or tie-in anything that comes out before the bigger thing. But like, I feel like if you gave things enough lead time and enough thought, and you had enough coordination, you could do it more.
Yeah, I thought what the story group actually does is largely misreported. But I thought that was supposed to be one of their responsibilities, was to be the go-betweens from these guys, not to tell people you can or can't do that. That's not canon. But to be like,
that was Pablo's job.
Yeah, but to be like, oh, the script for Maul Shadow Lords, their season 1 is done, so let's get them over to the writers of the comic book so they can read them and know what they can and can't do in the book, and set it up, and vice versa. Send the scripts of the book over to the guys who are writing the show if they want to read it and maybe incorporate something from that into season 2. Find a way to sneak some of the details from this in. We'll see. We'll see if they try. They're trying again. We're trying again. So we'll see if it brings us there. So here's a little bit of detail about Maul Shadow Lord revealed from the Marvel announcement of the comic book. They say, quote, "The upcoming animated show Star Wars Maul Shadow Lord will reveal Maul's plan to rebuild his criminal syndicate on Janix, a planet untouched by the Empire. The Star Wars Shadow of Maul comic book series introduces this new setting and cast, including Captain Brander Lawson and his partner, a droid named Two Boots, as they investigate shadowy dealings on Janix." And if we look at the cover, I think we can see Lawson and Two Boots along with
so wondering who those characters were.
Yeah. I kind of want to go back and revisit the scene with Maul in not the Siege of Mandalore, but the Martez episodes. When Ahsoka spies on his meeting, because I feel like that scene, I don't think it's like essential to the show, but it might lay a little bit of groundwork for what we can expect him to be up to in the age of the Empire. Because in Siege of Mandalore, he's trying to stop Palpatine stop Sidious from coming to power, but presumably it doesn't really change what he's doing, what his goals are as a crime lord, as he declared himself back in season 5.
Oh man, now you're making me mad that Han Solo wasn't in those episodes.
There's that great scene, I think it's in Siege of Mandalore, where he has all of the Shadow Collective people, or I guess proto Crimson Dawn people, kind of assembled the council, and one of the Mandos says something like, "Oh, she's told them all to go into hiding." And I think like there's a Faline there because they're part of it. Obviously the Pikes, and then Dryden Voss is there. So like that character model's there. That character is involved somehow. I think seems pretty odd, pretty like a thing. Oh, apparently there's a game. There's a game announcement.
Looking it up.
Looking at the chat.
Keep focused, Ben. Keep focused. We'll get to that.
I'm sorry, Joel's distracting me.
Keep focused. Keep focused. But, keep talking about Darth Maul.
I know. But no, I think that's really cool. I think that also could really inform where we go with the show and what happens. So that's crazy.
It is. I kind of want to do like a rewatch of all of the Maul episodes of Clone Wars now. I feel like that's going to be kind of essential viewing as we head into this next animated series. Yes. So as you alluded to just now, Ben, it looks like we've got a new announcement out of the Game Awards. Star Wars Galactic Racer seems to be the game. It's currently scrounging for details. Not a lot out there just yet.
Me too.
It's from the developers of Burnout, it sounds like. There we go. But we'll see what we get. See what we get from it. There's some screenshots out there, look kind of interesting, but it's it's a racing game in Star Wars. There's I don't think it's quite as epic in scale as.
Now I'm mad that I didn't go to the Game Awards. I thought about it. There was a way that I could have potentially gone, and I was just like, do I want to go to that? Now I'm like, oh man, all the Star Wars stuff. I would have loved it. I would have freaked out if I was there. Gosh dang it.
Yeah, looks like it's coming 2026, so it'll be out next year.
Maybe I should just crash the end of it. I think it's like down the street from me. I'm just
Yeah.
Bye.
Just take
go to
off.
Game Awards in case there's any more announcements.
Yeah, one more announcement just to keep them.
Yeah.
Just for you, just
Yeah,
for us.
Yeah.
We can live stream it. So there is a website for the game. Literally, we're figuring this out in real time. I'm gonna pull this up. I'm gonna share my screen here. Trying to turn this in here. There we are. Galactic Racer. I guess I'll accept the cookies.
Oh, that's cool.
Not a ton here. Star Wars Galactic Racer is a runs-based, high-stakes reinvention of racing born in the Outer Rim. With the Empire gone, and the galaxy rebuilding, the Galactic League is created, an underground, unsanctioned circuit where syndicates bankroll chaos and champions are forged. That's pretty sick. Okay, look at some of these images. Look at here. We got that. That's looking Jakku-ish. It's desert and a Star Destroyer crash there.
Yeah,
That's
seriously.
the icon of Jakku. This one, that's a snow planet. I'm gonna say it's probably not Hoth, but it does look familiar. I don't know if that.
I've seen that before.
It's bothering me that I can't place it. Maybe is this where Dryden? Maybe it's this where like Dryden Voss's yacht is in Solo. Maybe where they do the train heist.
Yeah,
it's got a little bit
of
Maybe so.
Another sort of deserty canyon looking place
like
here.
Tatooine.
Yeah. This again, this one looks to be Jakku. There's Star Destroyer in the background.
It's interesting that I think
it's all snow.
Yeah. It's
and
not
sand.
pod racing specific. It's kind of
Just
different things.
Yeah.
Different racers.
Yeah, Galactic Racer. It's
Just
not
kinda
pod
racing.
racer. It's just racer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's from Fuse Games and Secret Mode are the makers. There is a trailer. Let's see if we put it on mute. Maybe we can,
mute
take a
should be
look at
fine.
it. How's this look? Okay. All right. We're going to narrate
Good graphics.
it. Yeah. Good graphics. Again, Jakku.
Camera shaking.
Camera shaking as the camera.
Oh, that's a new one.
Yeah, some kind of watery planet. This is really entertaining to the people that have already seen it and are listening to the show tomorrow.
People
but that's
love
fine.
reactions. It's more popular than podcasts. What are you talking about?
Yeah, close-ups of the racers. Now they're
Ice.
racing over some ice.
Cool.
This is looking good. Lucasfilm Games.
Yeah,
I
I'm
wish
trying to
they'd
figure out
just
what
call it
platform.
Lucas Arts.
Yeah.
All right, we got a guy walking out. Maybe that's our character, or maybe that's somebody who will be facing again, racing through Jakku. It's very Force Awakens Falcon chase scene, which
very Star
pretty good
Tours.
location. Yes, it does give off a Star Tours vibe. That's cool. I'm gonna guess that's an alien, but I don't know for sure. But yeah, like I said, definitely not pod racing. It seems to be a whole bunch of different kind of.
I love racing games. This is exciting.
Yeah,
like, I love car racing games.
Is it going to be Mario Kart or Need for Speed? What are we
This
thinking?
looks like Need for Speed to me. I don't see any bananas. I don't see any Jogan fruits slipping people up.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. This
Also,
is,
Need for Speed. Dang, that's an old reference.
I don't know what current video games are.
Now, in the lore,
there's a
is
dog.
Han Solo?
Is that old Sebulba?
Isn't that part of the story?
That was old Sebulba.
That was old Sebulba. All right.
Okay, that makes sense. He's like the ultimate racer, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
He's like Mario Andretti.
Had to be.
Whatever.
Yeah. It's pretty exciting.
That's awesome. That's actually, I definitely, I want to try that out. At the very least, we'll try the demo. I don't know if I'm buy it just because I don't have time to play every game that comes out. I wish I did, but like I want to at least demo this and see what it's like.
Yeah, and I'm curious. Like this is a good backstory for the game. I think that's pretty cool. And it kind of makes me wonder. Is there more to it than just racing? Like, is there going to be like how much of a story element is there going to be that's more than just build a player, go race around, rise through the ranks? Is there going to be like a kind of a narrative element to it? If there isn't, that's fine. It's a good backdrop for a racing game. But if there is, that'd be pretty cool.
It would be interesting because a lot of like sports games now have like kind of that mode where you're like a player or a team, or you go through a story. And so, I wonder if you'll have like you're like playing a racer the whole time, and you have the option to do like a story mode where, that would be kind of cool. That would be fun.
Yeah, there's like a story mode where like, you're bankrolled by the Hutts.
Yeah.
And if you don't win, there's problems. And then maybe on the final championship race, the remnants of the Empire attacks or something, and it messes up the race or something. Or maybe it's just a racing game. That's fun. There you go. Star Wars Galactic Racer. Two announcements. One just before the show and one during the show. How about that?
Yeah, they must be still going because it's only. I mean, assuming that I'm pretty sure this is in my area, so it's only 7:30 at night here. Actually, wait, my laptop's clock is messed up. No, yeah, it's 7:30.
7:30. Yeah.
I was like, when I turned it on, it was not right, but it fixed itself. It's good. This thing's probably still going to be going for a bit. So who knows? We might, as we're continuing the podcast, we might get more stuff.
Have to keep stalling, otherwise we'll just talk about it next week.
Yeah, where is it? I'm just gonna go walk down there.
Just break in. As we've learned, you can just wear a high vis vest and get in there.
Yeah, it's like if I got in the car, I'd be there in like maybe 35, 40 minutes. Like it's not that far from me. It's at a venue that I've been to many times. In downtown LA. It's actually very close. It's actually extremely close to where Celebration is going to be. It's like down the street. It's like you have the Celebration venue, which is the LA Convention Center. Then you have the Crypto.com Arena, which is where the LA Lakers play and the LA Kings play. And then the next one over is Peacock Theater, which is where this is happening. So it's
there you go.
Right down there.
Could this hypothetically, now I just want to talk about Celebration. Could this hypothetically be the big panel stage at Star Wars Celebration? Where
in fact, E3 which was Rest in Peace, the big video game convention in LA. That needs to come back. I missed that convention. It was awesome. But anyway, they often would have events at the Peacock Theater in tandem with E3. Okay. So it's very likely that Celebration could use that as a stage. Very possible. Oh. Yeah.
Fantastic. So that's where we'll all see the world premiere of Star Wars Starfighter. That's where, or will Starfighter be out? When is Celebration?
Could happen.
Celebration is before. Yeah.
April, May, somewhere in there.
Yeah. Because it's partially because it's so far out, and partially because I don't think I'm going to go this year. This time, I have sort of lost track of when Celebration is, but yes, April 1st to 4th.
If that article that I saw on Facebook earlier today was true, I don't think anybody's going to that Celebration who doesn't live in America.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have to do so much research on news stories now to know if it's true or not. So I don't want to even say what I read.
Yeah.
When I read, I'm like, what the? I was like, North Korea? What is going on?
I'm 99% sure I read the same thing, and I'm like, I also need to do a little bit more research into this. And also, like, oh boy, definitely not going back.
Maybe,
yeah. I think it was a proposal.
Should have done Celebration Toronto.
There are a lot of crazy proposals that don't turn into
exactly
actual laws, and might take longer than say April 1st to 4th, 2027. But we'll see. We'll see. It's a conversation I'll have to have with myself at some point next year. And I'm not going to dwell on it until then. For now, we'll move away from the Game Awards and Celebration just because there's no more updates about them just yet. Let's take a quick gander over at The Mandalorian and Grogu. Got a new poster for the movie. It's basically exactly what you'd expect. Close up of the Mando helmet. Close
up
of Baby
Yoda's
face.
Spanish poster.
Yep. 21 de Mayo. Solo on Cines.
It's 21 de Mayo, Dominic.
Well. Yeah. There's not a lot to say about this poster other than I really like it. I think it does a better job of selling the movie and selling what the movie is than the main poster, which I do like. I like the main poster for Us. I feel like this does better in a movie theater. I did actually see the current poster in a movie theater recently when I went to see Wicked. Wow. I saw the actual poster there.
Man, they didn't. I don't think they had it out when I went to go see Wicked. Gosh dang it! Nice.
Yeah, I saw it. I thought and I saw it. It was on to be fair, it was on a digital screen. Like it was a screen that rotated through posters.
Maybe I missed it. Yeah.
So I went to go take a picture and it moved on, and I thought, am I going to stand here and wait for it to come back? And the answer was no. So I kept going. But it's a good looking poster. I think this one will likely be around a lot. And let's check in a little bit with Starfighter. Got a couple of updates about that movie. Sean Levy has been out doing a lot of interviews because he is involved, of course, with Stranger Things. Fifth and final season is half done-ish, sort of something. I don't know.
A third?
The first 4 episodes are out. They did the world premieres and stuff, and so Sean was out there promoting that. And of course, everybody wants to know what he's working on now, and of course, that is Starfighter. He made a couple of interesting reveals on the On Film with Kevin McCarthy podcast. The biggest being that the musical score for the movie is composed by Thomas Newman, a 15-time Oscar-nominated composer. Wow. Fun fact, he is I believe shares the record for most Academy Award nominations without winning one. So he's a very popular, very successful guy, and maybe, who knows, maybe it will be Starfighter that finally pushes him over.
He's the other Pixar guy, because Michael Giacchino did a lot of Pixar stuff, and then the other one who does like all the other anything that Giacchino hasn't done was Thomas Newman. So that interesting, the big Disney connection there. Wow.
Yeah, he did. He's done recently. He's done Elemental. Back in 2019, he did 1917. He's done a couple of Bond movies. He did Spectre and Skyfall. The Adjustment Bureau. That's a good movie. He did Wall-E. Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events. I wasn't expecting that on the list. Finding Nemo.
Someone had to do it.
Yeah, someone had to do it. Aaron Brockovich, The Green Mile, American Beauty. There's some solid movies right there.
Yeah, I was about to say these are the top 100 movies. Like Shawshank Redemption.
Shawshank Redemption.
That's considered by one of the greatest movies ever made. It's like one of those. Like,
right there.
That's when you said it. I'm like, Thomas Newman. I'm like, this guy's one of the best composers ever. Like, this is exciting. Wow.
And he did 1984's Revenge of the Nerds, his second movie.
I should watch that. I didn't ever seen that.
Yeah, there we go. A lot of good movies for Thomas Newman. Revenge of the Nerds, maybe not one of them, but it's there. Somebody had to do the credit.
Someone could afford it.
Yeah, and if you go back and you listen to the clip of Sean Levy talking about him, you can really tell that this is somebody that Sean really admires. He was his first choice to do the movie. He talks about the way that Thomas Newman will be able to build off of what John Williams did, and he's a similar type of composer, but he's not just going to go in there and remix a bunch of Williams stuff. So it's going to be its own thing, which is pretty exciting.
It's going to have very Rogue One vibes to it. I feel like the way Rogue One incorporated Williams, but really built a lot of its own stuff. Like, I feel it's going to be kind of similar to that.
Yeah, I think you are right there. So that's what we've got. He also, Sean Levy also had this interesting comment about working on Starfighter and how the third act of the movie basically got completely overhauled as they were working on it. This is what he said, quote, he said, there was something unexpected on Starfighter. We had a whole different idea for something in the third act, and then things didn't align, and I was forced to come up with a new idea. And I'm literally right now shooting that section of the movie. And every day I'm grateful that the idea I was supposed to do, it didn't work out, because the new idea forced me to explore, or that it forced me to explore, is so much better than the original idea would have been. And I think every entertainment journalist put a pin on that quote to ask him about the week after the movie comes out, so we can find out what it was that he had to change. Very interesting, though. Interesting. It's just, I am just excited that there is a new non-Mandalorian Star Wars movie being shot. And like, that's not a shot at the Mandalorian, but like, it's just that like, it's its own thing. It's not a continuation of the show. The Mandalorian and Grogu really does just sort of feel like a repackaged season 4, which is not a bad thing. It just still doesn't feel like a movie, whereas Starfighter feels like a movie with its cast and its director, and the fact that we're actually getting updates from the set. Like, Mando and Grogu shot basically in total secrecy. Like, we didn't hear, there was no official updates, whereas Sean Levy, partially because of the Stranger Things connection, but also just he's been more open with it on his social media. There was a behind the scenes picture in Vanity Fair a few weeks ago. Like, there's actual updates for this movie coming out, which is nice, and not always something that we get from the Star Wars movies. Anything else we really want to hit, Ben? Is anything we've been you feel that we're chomping at the bit to get to? I think Ben is frozen.
I think Ben's been frozen for like 20 minutes.
Oh, dang. Well,
it's been a while. It's been
since he made a contribution. Well, you know what? I think we know what it's time for.
Yeah,
it's time. It's time to do it. I think we should do it.
Ben Hart, the Star Wars guy.
Yes.
Ben Hart, the Star Wars guy.
Star Wars rules.
This is momentous. This is exciting. Why, hello there, Ben.
Ben Hart, the Star Wars guy.
He is the founder of the Star Wars Underworld, Mr. Ben Hart.
How's it going, everybody?
Well, we may not have Ben, but we have.
No. This one goes there. That one goes there, right?
What was great about that is that you were partially frozen during that too. It's good.
Very accurate.
All right, let's. We had a super chat earlier in the show from Joel, so let's get to that.
We talking about this.
Yeah. Joel says, honestly, so much of the pre-Phantom Menace past is so far removed from the saga, most of it can honestly fit right in anyways. Also, Revan is now because of Shadow of the Sith by Adam Christopher. Okay, well, he's canon in the sense that somebody referenced somebody named Darth Revan existed. That's not the same.
The name's canon.
Yeah. As the story being canon, and as we were discussing and debating earlier, the question around the new game is whether it will canonize the whole story, elements of the story, parts of the story, one little detail from the story, or if it will just be left to legend status. But yeah, I mean, I think part of the appeal of pre-Phantom Menace stuff and why the old books and comics and games and stuff did so much stuff is that you could be really, really far before the story, that you could do your own thing and have it be kind of epic sagas, and not worry about having it have to be the next quote unquote big thing. In the sense that, like, you know, Knights of the Old Republic, that story can fit anywhere in the timeline. That could be, instead of 2,000 years or 5,000 years in the past, it could be 5,000 years in the future. But by making it the future, that adds extra pressure on some of these stories, because it is then becomes a continuation of the Skywalker saga. So that was why the pre-Phantom Menace pass was so easy to play with. Now I think they're a little bit more willing to venture into the future. I think having done the sequel trilogy, having, broken that seal and done the movies that were never supposed to be made or were never expected to be made. You can now do something like Starfighter that's just set in the future. It can be its own thing. The Rey movie is set in the future. Hunt for Ben Solo would have been set in the future, and maybe still could be if things change. Simon Kinberg's trilogy is in the future, whether it's 10, 11, 12, or just its own thing. They've shown more of a willingness to go forward. And so maybe that's why you can do smaller stories in the past, like Acolyte, like what it sounds like Fate of the Old Republic might be. And because the big stories are happening in the future.
Precisely. And I'm excited for that.
Absolutely. We'll save questions for next week. I think we'll save the rest of the questions for a future week, because we have crammed a lot into this show. We've covered a ton of ground, and I think we should leave ourselves a little bit of breathing room for what's to come next week. Who knows? Maybe there's more video game announcements to come in the next hour and a half.
I have a feeling
that will lead the show next week. But for now, we will begin to wrap things up for this week. Since I brought us in, I'll bring us out. How about that?
I was wondering what was going to happen.
Yeah. I was like, we haven't discussed this. We're just going to go with it. Go with the vibes. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you for coming back to us after 2 weeks away. We will be back next week with another show discussing whatever else happens. As we talked about off the hop, there was a lot this week, and even more dropped during the show. Maybe we can return to some of these things that we talked about. I think maybe Racer feels like something we might need to talk a little bit more about next week, seeing as we literally found out about it as it was happening as we were doing the show. So tune in for that and whatever else we've got coming up down the line. Ben, thank you for powering through as always, and reconnecting the power couplings to make the show work. Or did he? Maybe he didn't.
Yeah, no, it was a pleasure as always. And you never know. But I think with this, with all, it's crazy that all the news that we got, there was apparently going to be another Mandalorian and Grogu trailer coming out today, but apparently they pushed it back because there was a rumor going around there was going to be an Avengers trailer, and they were like, we don't want to disappoint one. So I guess we could have had even more news this week is what I'm trying to say.
Oh my gosh.
They're both Disney properties. Does nobody talk to each other at Disney? Is there no Bob that can run messages from one studio to the other? How does that happen? And also, there wasn't an Avengers trailer. What? What is wrong? What is going on over there? What is going on over there? Anyway, Chris, thank you for skipping the Video Game Awards to be here with us.
Yes. I'm glad I could just rant about it instead of gauge the excitement of the room. Glad I could make it on the show.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll see if maybe, hey, a Mando trailer next week would be a lot of fun. That'd be a great way to kind of end the year. That would be a nice sort of last hurrah before Christmas in terms of Star Wars news. That'd be a lot of fun. Brandon Tran in the chat asks, why don't you guys have a DC podcast? I'd like to hear that. Anybody have any DC thoughts they'd like to share? I have not yet watched the Supergirl trailer. I am ashamed to say, even though I'm really looking forward to that movie.
My thoughts on DC is that Joker Folie à Deux is the best movie ever.
Interesting. Did not see it. I will say this year's Superman movie, I'm compiling my list of top movies for this year, from my own, for me, movies I like the best for this year. I'm having a hard time picking something that might top Superman. It might be number one. I really, really enjoyed that movie. So.
The Leonardo DiCaprio one battle after another tops that for me.
That was good. That was a really good movie. Really enjoyed it. Yeah. That's definitely in contention too. But yeah, maybe we should do a DC podcast. Maybe we should, if that's what the people want. Maybe that's what we should do, or maybe we should do a one battle after another podcast.
We could do a Leo podcast. There's enough Leo films to do a Leo podcast. That's for sure.
This is true. What would we call it? Submit your titles for our Leonardo DiCaprio podcast for next week, and we'll get on that.
Me if you can.
Podcast. That's pretty good. Good start. It's a pretty good start. It's a good start. We got something to build on. All right. In between shows, make sure you subscribe so you don't ever miss an episode. Subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your shows. And if you are listening on a platform that lets you leave a review, please do, and listen often so that we can be in your Wrapped for next year. Become a channel member in between shows if you like what we do and want to support us financially. We do really appreciate that. Join the Discord for more fun things happening in between shows. Just keep the discussion going and participate in events like game nights and movie nights. And of course, follow us on social media to be kept up to date with all the latest breaking Star Wars news, as well as just random ass hot takes about the Rise of Skywalker that are blatantly wrong. You know who you are that's posting those.
Oh my God.
Not me. Not me. Not me. Wasn't me.
Wow.
And check out the other shows on the Star Wars Underworld Network. That's the Raeside, Ion Cannon, Tales from Beyond the Galaxy, the Tractor Beam. Check that out. Lots of good Star Wars discussion happening across the network. But that is it. We will be back next week. We hope you will join us then. For Ben, for Chris, for Hannah, who wasn't here, my name is Dominic, and may the Force be with you. It's a wrap.